Alright, guys. So today in this session, the agenda for today is we are going to talk about endpoints. We are going to talk about the basic troubleshooting that you can do to troubleshoot issues regarding upgrades. If there are issues with the peripherals which are connected to our devices, if there are call disconnects, is there any RCA which is required? All of that, including some media issues. What kind of issues you see when there are some media quality issues? Some issues when your codec reboots itself, it crashes. If you need RCA, what sort of things you can expect in logs. So all of those things we will be discussing in today's session. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing we are going to talk about is the upgrade process, how we troubleshoot. So as you all know, when you perform an upgrade on a Cisco endpoint, you would require either logging to the web page of our device, which is our Cisco endpoint web page, or you will go ahead and upgrade it from CUCM, or you will upgrade it from cloud. If I take a basic example of an endpoint upgrade from a codec web from a web page, first you have to download the package file. You download the package file from Cisco website, and you will come to this page wherein you click on maintenance and upgrade and upload your file. The reason why I wanted to include this section was to understand the flow of the upgrade, because when your upgrade fails, uh, what you have to check and how you troubleshoot is based on this flow. If you understand how this flow works, it will be easy for you to troubleshoot to the next step. So you go ahead and upload the file here. The moment we try to upload the file, what happens next is our codec will try to upload the file to the codec web page. It tries to upload the file on the backend server. So basically, it's a Linux OS. When you start the upgrade, the file starts showing this message. In the backend, there is a folder where the file is getting uploaded. So the first section is the uploading stage. When you start performing upgrade and your upgrade fails, we would first require to check at what stage your upgrade is failing out. If it is upgrading at the upload stage, what it means is this package file that we have on our device, it is getting uploaded to our codec. Okay, so the upgrade has not started yet. We are just trying to upload this file onto our device. Once this file is uploaded successfully on the codec, that is when it starts to extract that data onto the device. Okay, so right now on the screenshot that you see, it's just trying to upload the data that it has. So let's go to the next screen. Yeah, so here, the file which I showed you on the previous screen, which is this one, here we were uploading this file. This file name was S52040. That's just a file name, then followed by the version it has and the extension. Once this file is uploaded to our codec, for your reference, I just attached this screenshot. So this is a Linux prompt, basically a Linux GUI of our codec. Inside the temporary folder, we got this file uploaded here with the name pkg. Okay, so once you upload the file, it renames to pkg and it gets saved on our device into the temporary folder. Once codec detects that there's a file with the name pkg, it starts extracting the file onto the available image on the codec. Okay, so the first section is we talked about the uploading stage, wherein we upload the file, and the second section is we go ahead and extract this file onto the device. So when troubleshooting or any issues regarding the upgrades, the first thing we need to see is whether a device has received the file or not. That means whether the uploading was completed and the extraction is failing, or is the uploading itself is failing. So easiest way to troubleshoot is when upload is not working, it is your browser which is trying to upload the file to the backend server. And if this is not working, it's something between your laptop and the codec TMP folder where the file is getting uploaded. So maybe the network is slow, maybe the browser is not able to upload the file correctly onto the device. Those things will be checked when you see a problem uploading the software and it's stuck at the uploading stage. Maybe it's a VPN problem. VPN is pretty slow. Maybe your network has some session timeout settings, so it does not allow the connection to be active for a longer period. A local a local system within the network might help to upload the file again. On the other hand, if the extraction process fails, it means the file is here, it's already there with the codec, it's the codec job to extract the file to complete the upgrade process. Now, based on the log file, we will be able to understand what's going wrong. When we see that the file is here, it starts to extract. So this is an extraction process. It just shows what percentage it's on. And here on the right-hand side, it tries to see what is the base directory where it needs to upload the file. And then it starts to install. It starts checking all the uh, tasks which are currently running. Then it tries to extract the software. This is the phase where it verifies, okay, the package file is here. Does that package file really works on this unit or not? There are stages wherein it will fail at the extraction section or maybe some other place also. So this log file will help you understand why exactly your upgrade is failing. Okay, so these are the two sections where your upgrade might fail, either the uploading stage or this extraction stage. This is the bar that you will see when it tries to upload. These are those sections which I showed you on the earlier screen, wherein it says running, cleaning up install directory, extracting software. The other screen that I showed you, wherein we try to upload, this is the upload section. All right, so yeah, few things that I feel or which I always check when I troubleshoot any issues when we see problems. Usually upgrade does not fail on the unit because of the I would say the software itself. Those are some of the reasons. Some file mismatch, uh, models are not selected correctly, file is not the right one. Maybe there's a restriction in downgrade or upgrade. These are the main reasons why it will fail. And if we keep these in mind, I'm pretty sure we should be able to check it out why it's failing. So file model. So there are scenarios wherein we are uploading one file maybe to 5 different units. It is possible that the same file may work for 3 codecs because they have same model, or maybe different models, they just support the same file. But there's a chance that the fourth or fifth codec may not be supporting the same file. A quick example, if we have some codecs running on our old firmware, which is PC, and some codecs running on the latest version CE, uh, if you plan to upgrade all of those, your CE codec will upgrade with the CE file. But if you try to upload the same file onto the older models, it will fail. So we would need to make sure we are choosing the right file, right file name is selected as well. That will sometimes creates problem. File type. So yeah, on Cisco website, if let me just show you a screenshot. So if you go to Cisco website, try to download the file. There are certain files available. Sometimes people just download a different file, probably this one, the first one. They try to upload this file onto the codec web and it fails because this file is for CUCM. Pretty simple example, but yeah, this really happens when we are in a rush to perform upgrades. We need to make sure we are choosing the right file in here. If this you are uploading from the codec web, make sure you choose the right file, which is for the endpoint. This file won't work. Then upgrade path. This is also important. So upgrade path is always important when you're performing upgrades. You need to see what is your current version and what is the target version. If you see a big change, possibly it's a major upgrade wherein you are moving from maybe version 7 to version 9 or version 10, there is an upgrade path that you would require to fail. Else the upgrade might definitely it will fail. So if you are upgrading a device from an old version like any TC unit, you need to make sure you follow the path. That product should support the latest version, which is CE. So anytime you have any doubts, you always refer to the release notes. We have a release notes available for each software that we release on Cisco portal. It is always recommended, yeah, you go through that document before you start any upgrade. It's pretty helpful. Yeah, some people, not always, yeah, but some people try to downgrade their codec versions because due to some restriction in the company, they have some standard software they would like to keep on all the units. They do not want to go to the latest one. Whatever is recommended in the company, they would like to keep that. Now, what happens is in certain conditions, we have certain models wherein we keep coming up with some new hardware for them. Like for SX20, if you bought a device maybe 10 years ago, and if you purchase a device recently with the same model, the hardware, or I would say the motherboard of the device, will be different on those two. The device that you bought 10 years ago might be upgraded to any version. You can downgrade it back to any version. But if you have any new unit which has been recently purchased, if you plan to downgrade that, there is a chance that it may not go down, or it would not downgrade below certain versions. Because yeah, when the motherboard is designed, uh, the developers or the people who are taking care of the on the designing part, they keep certain versions in mind. They keep in mind that okay, we will be having PC7, CE8, CE9 versions in future. Let's just focus on those versions and make it compatible with our hardware. They would not worry about version 5 or 4. So in such case, we always have to refer our release notes again. There is a section. Uh, Maybe let me just show you that. I think it's little important. So let's go to release notes. Just Google for this file, release notes for TC7, release notes for CE9. Yeah, so this is the file. Starting from top, you'll find all the versions, what uh, changes it came up with. All of the information can be found here. The one we are looking for is backward compatibility. This is uh, pretty important when you perform downgrades. Only for downgrades, this will be good to know. So these are the motherboard versions 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe higher. When you see these versions, there is a restriction to what level or to which software you can downgrade it to. If there is a codec which has this level and you would like to downgrade to PC5, the lowest version or the minimum version you can keep it on is 5.6. Okay, so if I need to check out what is this compatibility version on one of my unit, I can probably do X. So I just logged into one of my unit. I SSH into it. Let me see if the SSH is still up. I'll just reload the SSH once. Give me one second. So you'll be using PuTTY if you have Windows, or on Mac, yeah, you can just simply log in this way. So if I do xterras system unit, or further you can check for compatibility level, you will find a value here like this. X status hardware compatibility level 5. For this model SX20 compatibility level 5, I would need to refer to this document or probably go to the latest release note. This is an old release notes. You can refer to the latest release notes to see if my version is version 5 for SX20 like this. This is 5 for SX20. I cannot downgrade my codec to TC6 or TC5. You can check the release notes of 9. It will have the minimum software version available for 9 and 8 also. If I have requirement to keep it on lower version, I cannot do it. Probably then you can talk to TAC or probably your sales team to discuss how many units you have that you would like to downgrade. What's the plan? Probably replacement of a couple of units will do the job or not. So yeah, those discussions can be done. But downgrade may fail in certain situations. It could be because of these file types that you selected wrong. But if everything is good, it could be the compatibility level value that I just showed you. Then upgrade failure stage, which we already discussed. So yeah, these are the main reasons why the upgrade would fail. This screenshot has also been taken from release notes. So it's a quick way to see which file type is for which product model. When you download files from cisco.com or you have those files handy downloaded on your system, what file is for what product, you can just have a look at it. So based on the file name, you can easily make out which product it is for. There is a chance that if you try to upload a file of MX200 onto SX80, it may not work. So you probably have to check out on Cisco portal first. Is that bundle file or whatever name you have defined in there compatible with all models or for specific models? Old versions used to have specific files for each product. Now in the new versions, all the CE comes in a bundle wherein one file is compatible for all of these. So you may not have this problem. But yeah, this is just for your understanding that if in case you have old versions, you may come across different file names. And if you try uploading different file onto different products, it may fail. So something pretty common which happens in day-to-day jobs that we do. All right. So here so far we just discussed the basics, how we upload the file, what errors do we see. Now there will be situations wherein you will be uploading files, maybe pushing files from CUCM. Your device is provisioned to CUCM. It's trying to download the file from there, and the file is failing, or you do not see that file being pushed on the device. What things to will check? I will again take you through a basic step-by-step guide, what we basically do when we try to upgrade it from CUCM, and then tell you what all errors you see. So the first thing we do is we first configure provisioning on our endpoint. We provision our device to CUCM so that our device is managed by CUCM and any of the softwares that are being pushed from CUCM, your codec should accept it. So what I did is I provisioned it to CUCM. I try to check the status by running xstatus provisioning, and it says provisioned. When it says provisioned, it means my device is now provisioned to CUCM. It's ready to pull any of the data which is being sent by CUCM. So if I go to my unit and if I just do xstatus provisioning just to check out the provisioning status. So let's see what we see. Here, the status is provisioned. The last update my CUCM was trying to push was 9.15. And here is a file. If I have any of the file set on my CUCM that will be sent to the unit, I will see a URL in here. I'll see a URL from where my device will be receiving these package file. So what we are doing here is we are providing a URL to the device. Our endpoint will be pulling up that data from the backend from the network. It will upload the same file onto the temporary folder. The way we do it manually on the GUI endpoint, we will just pull that data from this URL section. Let me show you the URL also. So next I'll show you. So basically we pull the data onto the codec and then we extract it. So uploading a file from endpoint or uploading a file from CUCM has no difference as such. The only difference is uh, the way we export or the way we pull the data or pull the file is differs. The first section is we upload it directly onto the device. In this, we are asking CUCM to provide a URL, and that URL can be used by endpoint to pull that file onto the same folder with the same file name Once the file is completely downloaded, we just extract the file. Okay, so troubleshooting expect remains the same. Even in this case also, when we troubleshoot, we see if the provisioning is correct. We see if we have the right file name. Let's just discuss that. So I provision my device, then I go to CUCM. Then I go to CUCM, I go to OS admin. What I'm doing here is I need to upload a software package onto the CUCM so that the same file should be pushed onto the device. So I go to CUCM, I go to upgrades. So I'm sure you guys must be aware of how you do it. Basically, I create a TFTP server on my system, create some credentials, and upload whatever file I need to upload onto the device. So I upload a package file onto the TFTP server of CUCM. Take an example of this file. I just uploaded this file. This is a software package which I downloaded from Cisco portal. I just uploaded onto CUCM. Now this file will get saved onto the CUCM TFTP server and it will reside there. Next, what we will do is we need to make sure the file that we just uploaded, we have to match the file names because we have to define that file name on our device defaults. Okay, so first stage is we upload the file onto CUCM. Second stage here is we will go to same section OS admin software upgrades. The next tab or the next section onto the software upgrade section is TFTP file management. I'm cross-checking that whatever file I uploaded, what is the file name for it. This is pretty important because whatever extension or whatever file name you have in here, we have to define the same file name when you try to push this image onto the endpoint. If this file name differs, whatever file name you define, for example, if you put in a different name, you put in this name dot maybe dot pkg, or if you just copy paste this name cop.sgn, this name differs from the actual file once it was uploaded. Now it shows loads. Now if you put in as cop.sgn, endpoint will try to access UCM TFTP server, but it would not be able to fetch this file because the file differs. And then it will start throwing an error message. So let's see next. I found the name and I'll go ahead and provide a same name onto the device default. So I'm defining this name to the device default that if I have DX80, this will be my package. Just push that file to all the devices that are in there. Once you do this, you save and apply. This package will be pushed out, or I'll say this URL will be pushed out to all the endpoints, asking endpoints to pull the package file, which is this one. Endpoint will reach out to the TFTP server of CUCM, search for this file name. Once it finds it out, it will download the file onto the package in a PKG format and put it that in the temporary folder. So this was in device defaults. Second option is you go to the phone itself. So instead of uploading it onto the default settings for all the devices, you probably would like to try a software on one specific phone or one specific endpoint. Then you need not to push it to all the devices. For example, there's a recreate that you would like to do, or you would like to test a version specifically on one endpoint because you do not want to test a new version on all the devices. It may impact your production environment. Then in that case, you can just log into one of the device. You go to phones, find your device. Inside this, there's something called phone load name. You can put in the same name here. Then in this case, individual files will be pushed out to this specific device and not to all the devices that we have. Restart is required once you upload this file. So TFTP server needs to be restarted. I believe in the new versions, you would require to restart your CUCM service as well. Once you do that, you click reset and restart. Then the next thing you check is you come back to X status provisioning onto the endpoint. So if you go back to your endpoint, pull out this data again, X status provisioning, you should see a URL in here, which you can see here in the screenshot. It shows http// this is my CUCM 6970. This is the port number, basically a port number which is defined for TFTP. And this is the file name which I should have on my TFTP server onto the CUCM. This should be the same name which I should see on the CUCM when I search for this file. At this point, we know that CUCM is sending a URL, endpoint is supposed to pull that data. There is a chance that upgrade still fails. Okay, so URL is there, but there's a chance maybe this URL is not accessible by the codec. So logs, we can check logs and check out what exactly is the reason why it failed. I think we should see an error message here also if it is a successful. If it failed, it could not find the file or it could not connect over 6970. You will see that error message over here. That is another way to check it out. We can also check our log bundle. I'm planning to discuss this at the end of the session because you guys might have some questions on that. So when I discuss log file at the end, probably I'll discuss all of that in one go, that what all things you can check in log files. But this is one place, X status provisioning. Else you can download the log bundle and check that out, which I'll be sharing or discussing later on. Make sure this provisioning status is showing provision, because if it is not provision, your endpoint will never try to connect to the URL that you receive on the device. So this is first stage. Make sure the provisioning status is correct. It should show provision. Kind of error message you will see when upgrade fails, when it is getting uploaded via CUCM. It says 404. Download failed on all server, 404, trying in 8 minutes again. So it will keep trying this URL to find the package file so that it can start the upgrade. If you see this kind of error message, the first thing we have to find out is if this file really exists on CUCM. The second thing is this URL really accessible? Because at this stage, we are not able to pull the file. It's saying 404. Most probably, it could not find the file. So first thing would be check out if that file exists on the CUCM, or just put this URL onto a browser. Just use a browser, put that URL, press enter. Your browser should be able to download the package file, which is this one. You should be able to download your codec software with this URL. This will confirm if your browser is able to download the file, your TFTP server side is fine or not. If this does not work, you see an error message. It's something with your TFTP server, probably service has not restarted, or it's stuck, or there could be some other reason that might be failing the upgrade. So yeah, URL is something pretty important. This is still uploading stage. So we are trying to find the file and then upload and then extract. So we are still at the starting stage as we discussed initially. Second thing, you go back to the same section on CUCM, OS admin, software upgrades, then TFT management. Here you try to search for the package name. Whatever package you see, search for it and see if the extension match. Here it says loads. Here it says PKG. That means still there's a mismatch to the extension that we have. This will again create problems and it will throw a 404 error message also. Your upgrade will again fail. Yep, so another scenario that we have in here. The next thing here is, so we checked, okay, the file name is .pkg in here, but on the endpoint, it's throwing CUCM is sending .load extension. We probably have to correct it. So then we will check which side of CUCM is sending out that load extension. Is that the device defaults, which is a common section for all the devices that will be receiving the software package, or is that the individual phone profile? I showed you phone load section. We have to check out which side is really sending the wrong file name. Just correct that, and that should fix the problem. Okay, so that's one example, or this should cover all the troubleshooting scenarios when your upgrade fails via CUCM. If extension is correct, you see the right file name, you are able to download the file. That means your connection from endpoint to CUCM is fine. File should be downloaded. The next thing you need to check would be number one, check the logs and see if the file was downloaded. It we see line by line steps in the codec logs that this much percentage of file has been downloaded. Now it will try to extract. We can see if the extraction has failed or something else, or maybe the downloading was not successful. Maybe connection between CUCM and endpoint is a little slow. The downloading was not successful, or maybe extraction failed. If it is extraction, then we will look for the right file name. If it is for the right model, all of those scenarios will be checked later on. But first, need to distinguish, is it really the uploading stage or the extraction stage? Once you make out this part, your troubleshooting would be pretty easy. You'll be able to find out what is causing problems. All right. So another common scenario, or so the steps or the scenarios that I'm covering in this session are basically more of the common problems that we are seeing in the last year or probably 2 years. These are pretty common reasons. So if you're upgrading a file from version 9.1, 9.2 to the latest version, probably 9.3 or later on, there was some changes in the intermediate versions. So from 9.7 or 9.8, there was a cap, or there was a restriction in the code which was defined that the file name should not increase to more than 1 gig. If the file is more than 1 gig, if you try to perform upgrade, it will fail. Okay, so in this scenario, if you try to upgrade from 9.7 or any lower version, and you try to upgrade to any version, then 9.10, 9.11, 9.13, your upgrade will fail. Sometimes it will throw this error message, or sometimes it just fails. When you check your logs, that's when you'll find out that the file size was large. So any upgrade, which is any version which is lower than 9.7 or earlier, and if you want to upgrade anything higher than 9.13, or I will say 9.10 or later, you would require to perform a step upgrade to fix the problem. There was a problem with the middle version, that is 9.8 and 9.9. Probably next slide will explain this in a better. So you would require to upgrade to 9.8.2 or 9.9 and then perform further upgrades to whichever version you want. This is pretty uh, common, which we have seen in the last 1 year. People upgrading their versions and it failed. They reached out to us, and then we had to share them the files. These files were pretty old. There were some vulnerabilities because of which we had to remove these files from Cisco portal. So you would not find these files on Cisco portal. You would require to raise a tag case for this. But yeah, we will be sharing these files once you request for it. When there's a upgrade path that requires 9.9, 9.8, or any intermediate version. So yeah, one of the common reasons. I try to cover some of the most common registration issues as well. Yeah, won't take long, so I'll just quickly wrap it up. Uh, this happens. So one of the common error messages 485 ambiguous or device type mismatch. I wanted to cover this also because we see some problems when you replace a device. Take an example of a room, or take an example of MX700 or 800. If you replace a device, a codec of that unit, when you receive a replacement, the model number that appears here, it might be different from the last phone profile you have created for that unit. Okay, I'll repeat that again. So you receive a replacement for MX800 unit. Upon replacement, the codec you received might show a different product name. Although it's the same unit, but the model number might be different in here. You might be thinking that you have replaced a codec. It's the same unit, MX800. You create a profile again, choosing MX800 as the phone profile. And if this model does not match to what we have on CUCM, it will start throwing a device type mismatch error message. So when you face any registration problems, always cross-check the model number shown here should match to what we have on the CUCM. If there's a mismatch, there's a chance that this error will appear, and it happens. Many a times it happens because we receive a replacement, we just replace it, and it might be different from what we have. This is what you will see on the device phone profile when you check on CUCM. You have to match this name to the actual name that we have in here. If you had MX800 or you had room, it is showing a different codec, just the codec itself. Just raise a case with tag, or you reach out to our licensing team. They will change this model number. Basically, a product key is required to convert this to whatever model you had before. So some license transfers are required. Once you do that and you install, you will get the right name in here, and you can choose the respective profile onto the next section. Second problem, error shows when you go to the registration section here onto the web page, the front page of the codec, it says that SIP is inactive. It does not show much. So you would not be make out what's the reason for the failure. So there are different options. One is you log into our codec via SSH. Like if I go here and I do X status, so any status you want to check for any of the product, you just do X status followed by the actual string that you want to pull. So I see this one as registered, so there are no problems. But if there is any problem, it should show us some a message in here in X status SIP. Or you get the log bundle, and when you check log bundle, if it says SIP as inactive empty URI, that means you have not configured the URIs correctly for the SIP. You have to go ahead and configure your SIP settings on the endpoint under web. So you go to the web page, then you go to settings. I'm sure you guys must be doing this day on day, but yeah, just for reference, in case someone is new, I'll just quickly show that as well. So if log says that the URI is empty, we would require to manually configure SIP settings. So you go to settings, then configurations, and then you go to SIP here, and make sure you have defined your proxy address in here, your actual SIP URI. This is your DN, and this is your actual CUCM or the proxy server name that you have defined. So if this is not defined, you expect your registration to work. This is something you have to cross check. 4049 line not configured. So this happens if your phone line is not configured. Sometimes we just create a profile, but we forget to actually put in the DN name in here. So this is my CUCM phone profile. I created a phone and I tried to register, but I forgot to add the DN. This also happens sometimes. Make sure when you replace a device, you create a new profile for it, or probably adding a new unit. You have defined the correct DN, which should be entitled and which is matching to what we have on the endpoint. 404 not found, unable to find device. Okay, so there are a couple of reasons why this could happen. One is the MAC address. We might have replaced the unit. The MAC address on the old unit might be different from the new one, and we are still expecting the same to work. That could be one of the reasons. So we probably have to check out this data, check out the logs, and see what error message we have. And based on that, we can check it out. This is what you will see in the log file. Maybe there's an error in the MAC address. You're typing in the MAC address, you put in some extra characters into it. That might create the same problem. Log into the codec. Here you will find the actual MAC address. And let's check CUCM also. So this is my actual MAC address. And if I go to the phone profile on CUCM, maybe my mistake, I missed a letter C here. It was there in the next, but here I missed it. This is the actual MAC address section, which our CUCM validate when it receives the actual register request from the endpoint. It's going to match the MAC address. If this does not match, it will respond back with a 404 device mismatch. It could not match the device. So something pretty common. Another one is 403 forbidden for the registration request. This mainly happens when you are registering your device through expressways. There is a registration, a law, and deline list. There's a policy which we can define on expressways that we should allow only specific DNs, whichever DN is in the allow list will be allowed. Or maybe if we just deny specific DNs, we can do that. If that is the case, we will see this sort of error message wherein it says uh, 403 forbidden, and this will be the kind of error message you see. We have to cross check if device is on expressway or somewhere else. Now this will be pretty common for you guys, I'm sure. We are seeing fail to send error message when you are trying to register your device. Your device might be registered already in past. It must be working maybe for years, and then it stopped working all of a sudden. It says fail to send. This is where probably log capture might help because your previous setup was already working. I'm sure your phone profile will be accurate. This might be accurate. You can cross check, but the thing we have to check here would be logs, or probably you take some log your packet captures to see what request we have sent out and what sort of response we receive. Here we see it says fail to send, transport failed to send. Uh, we see some other error message also. So connection closed by remote site. We have sent a register request from this endpoint to CUCM, asking CUCM to please register my device. This is my MAC address and other details. CUCM might close the connection for some reason, or probably the register request may not have reached CUCM yet. There must be some firewall changes. Could be some other problem also. Your signaling might have not reached the CUCM yet. So a packet capture from both ends, from CUCM and from endpoint, checking out that I'm sending a request from this address to this address, put a filter for this proxy address and see if what exactly we are getting back. If we are seeing a reset from there, or probably we are continuously retrying and there is no response back, then we will check CUCM side to see where the request is failing. Yeah, so such scenarios wherein registration fails, our signaling is not be able to reach out. First, we will check our endpoint side. We will make sure endpoint is not doing anything. It's the other side which is causing problem. And then simultaneously, we'll take logs from CUCM to see if that device, CUCM really received the request or not. Maybe it has not received it, or if it has received it, for some reason, it's rejecting it. I'll maybe take a packet capture like this, sort out with 5060 port number where we are sending our register request on. Uh, Using the IP address of CUCM, I'm seeing some retransmission being sent. That means we are sending register request. There is no response. We are trying again. Still no response. At the end, it will fail, and it'll maybe keep trying after some certain period. So packet capture might also help. Next part is video endpoint troubleshooting. So we'll be discussing what all things we can do when we troubleshoot issues related to mic, display, and camera. This will be a quick session, I would say. Let's try to cover all possible things we can. So when we talk about peripheral troubleshooting, logging to the codec SSH might help you a lot. If someone says my camera doesn't work, one of the easiest step that you guys can try would be try to first understand which part of camera is not working. Is that the camera control which is not working, or probably is that the video input, the video side of the camera is not working? So any camera that we have in Cisco will have two sections. There will be a control part of it, and there will be a video which will be separate. Okay, so if I go back to, maybe let me just draw a diagram for this to explain. So I have this camera. If you take a look at the ports on any of the Cisco camera that you have, there will be one port which will be there for the video input, and there will be one section which is there for the camera control. So there will be two connections on the camera side. One is only dedicated just to send the video feed. The second is only dedicated to share the signaling part. That means the control. You have your codec placed somewhere. This connection is there. You want to move camera to the left, to the right, up, down. You want to perform firmware upgrades on this camera. All that will be done with the help of this control part. All the feed would be sent out using HDMI cable. That will be a different cable altogether. So there will be two things you have to check when you troubleshoot any camera related problem. End user says that my camera is not working. The first thing you have to validate is that the control part or is that the video input? If control part is not working, X status camera would help you out. Here you'll find what capabilities it has, pan, tilt, zoom, focus, connection is there. If you see all of this information in here, what it means is that on your codec web, this part or this connection is all good. We don't have any problem with it. Most likely, based on what customer says, we can cross check. But if log bundle says that the X status is there, most probably we are receiving good information from the control side on the codec. If customer says my video is not working from the camera, what I'll do is I'll I'll do X status for the video input. Let's do that. So X status video input. Here, first action here, it says video input connector 1. So this is the HDMI 1 connector which I have on the codec. This is where your camera will be plugged in. This should show true. So it's one of the available scenarios that we have wherein control part was showing okay up there, but this one shows false. That means your camera control is fine. It's just the HDMI which is not showing a connection here. The next is the signals. So signals are showing unknown as well. So what we are seeing here is we are seeing HDMI which is showing no connection and there's no signals on it. You have to keep following the same number because this is where you'll find connection with the first HDMI part. So type is HDMI, correct? Second one is DVI. So you have to check which one we are looking at. There is one more section available, which is this part. This tells more detail about the HDMI itself. So this part only shows that the HDMI is there. Further, this part will tell you more detail. What format type is there? Format status is found. It says true here. Format type would be digital. What type of signals we are sending or from the camera to the codec, it will be shown here. What will be the resolution we are seeing? So if someone says my resolution is pretty low on the camera, you have to probably cross check this part to see if the resolution is coming fine from the camera end. If this part is showing low, it means we are receiving a low camera resolution. Probably camera that we're using, it's not good, or our device is negotiating on a lower resolution with the codec. So probably cable could be faulty, or the lens could be faulty that it's not able to produce a high resolution image. So this is where you'll find the resolution. Similar to this, if you're using a laptop connected to one of the ports, maybe DVI or HDMI, running same command will help you see what resolution we are receiving from the laptop in here. Basically what negotiation we had on certain resolution. We can check this out from this section. For ports 2, like HDMI 2 or DVI port 2 we have, you'll find that information on the source 2 here. So this X status will definitely help you out. If you have these information handy or if you can log into the device, you can quickly check out what is the problem. And further, you can share this info handy, I mean, with tech as well if you need some help to understand, or maybe if you feel that there's a hardware issue, we can further check logs to see if it's really a problem with the camera itself. try to use a different camera to the same port. Yeah, all those things you can try to check out. Uh, let's skip this for the time being. So when we log into the SSH, and if you're not sure what all things we have on a codec, you can type help. There are certain commands, certain configurations that will be useful for you. Xconfig is basically what configurations we have. If you do xconfig and just capture that info, it's a backup of your config file. So whatever config you have, this xconfig will help you pull that out. Xstatus can help you to see what is the status for the peripherals which are there. So any of the peripherals, be it your camera, be it your monitors, your touch panels, when you troubleshoot any issues, Xstatus will definitely help you out. Like Xstatus, I'll do peripherals to see if there are peripherals. Looks like there are no. You can always go to web interface. On web interface also there's an option wherein you can check the peripherals, which can help. Let's do Xstatus as a whole to see what output we get. So if I do Xstatus, I'm not putting any filter. I'm just getting the entire output of the device, what volume I have. Uh, this is my camera status, which I just did. So basically Xstatus, then this string is what it captured. Xstatus H33. If I do, it will pull up only this section. So basically we are putting filters in there. Right now we just pulled up the entire thing. So yeah, all of this can be checked using Xstatus. Then xconfig is there, I discussed earlier. Then there are certain runtime commands. Like if you want to reboot, you will require x command to reboot the device. You can perform x command system unit reboot. It will reboot the device. All one-time events that you want to perform just for once are called x command. We can just run that command to just perform a one-time event. X configs are the permanent settings. X command would be a one-time event that you can do. So yeah, I already showed you this part in SSH, so I think we can skip these things. But yeah, this is all we see. So this is the resolution part which I showed you on SSH window. So you'll get 1920 into 1080p. So it's basically full HD with frame rate of 60 frames per second. You can check what type of capabilities your camera is sending. Is that really a local camera issue, or is there a problem over the call that you see? So when customer says far end says I'm seeing problems with my with your camera feed on local system, first you have to check out, is my camera working fine? Probably these logs can tell you if I'm getting 1080p resolution, at least on the codec side locally from that camera. Using self view, is a self view working fine, and problem is only with the with a call. Then what type of calls are encountering problems? So all that things can be checked out. So when there's a camera problem, no video, camera control works fine. I'm sure you guys must have done this in past also. Try using different HDMI cables, all of that. So I won't get into that depth. But yeah, X status will help you out. Check those information. So yeah, these parts we already have gone through. No camera. So if camera does not move left or right, you can cross check if status is fine or not. If status is fine, that means connection from camera and control, if camera and codec is fine, we are sending APIs. It basically the motor or the camera itself which might be faulty, which is causing it not to move. Uh, that might be causing problem. Maybe a different camera can be tested to isolate the problem. Probably the Ethernet cable might be problematic, that it's pulling up the status, but it's not transmitting APIs from codec to camera. Uh, these sort of errors might appear on certain cameras like Precision 60 cameras, if you guys have those units installed. These are some of the common error messages which we have seen on that camera in past. In the new models we don't see it, but yeah, we have seen these errors in some of the old cameras. This will appear on the screen itself. This some camera problem, video stop. Based on this error message, it is clear that it's the actual camera feed which is causing problem. We can cross check and check out. X status peripheral is where you can again check what model it is, what firmware it is. But X status camera will also give you the same output. Xstatus peripheral would be a short command that can show you the speaker track, your cameras, touch panels, all of that in one place. But if you're focusing just on specific uh, camera or probably specific unit itself, you can always do specific running specific commands like xstatus video, xstatus camera, and just check it out. No video. So like input, there could be problem wherein we have no output on the screen. We want to see what's going wrong. So xstatus video output, it will tell us what output we are sending out and what is the negotiation we have with the units. Here it says connection false. If it is false, connection from our codec over HDMI to the monitor is not up. We are still sending signals, but connection is not there. Format is not selected. This means we are not seeing any camera model in here. We are not seeing any format, but there is no connection to the monitor. So here it could be the monitor itself. It could be the cables. So those basic troubleshooting might help you understand. Yeah, but the idea here is these X status might help you to troubleshoot simple issues with just running these commands to see what we exactly we are seeing on the codec side. So you need not to ask anyone, hey, what you're seeing on the device. Here you'll make out, okay, there's no connection to it. Yeah, so yeah, these are the kind of statuses you would see. So yeah, these are the names which we have for the cameras. Then talking about the touch panel pairing, sometimes we face some problems with the upgrades. We are trying to perform upgrades on the touch panel, or we are trying to pair touch panels over the network or direct pairing and it's failing. We have to try troubleshooting it to closest to understand what's going on. If touch panel someone reports that the touch panel is not pairing up, first question would be what type of pairing it is. Most probably network pairing would have more issues because there's some network involvement in there. A direct pairing will have a least amount of issues. It could be the cable that may gone faulty or the touch panel. Most probably, or I'll say rare chance that the port on the device on the codec side might be faulty. But if it is network, there could be many things. It could be VLAN, it could be a restriction in the network that might be causing it. Could be anything. So first, we understand what type of pairing it is. What was it working fine earlier? And probably a direct connection to the touch panel might give you a hint of what's going on. Logs will also show you. So the ports that we use in past, we used to have 4041. So a packet capture or maybe log files. I'll show you later on what log files are. So log file will also tell you which port is being used, which we are trying to communicate on and it's failing. We have seen some cases wherein we had customers using C 9.14. When they upgrade to 9.15, we have made changes to our code that it communicates on 4061. Our codec 9015 onwards use 4061. Touch panel using touch panel using network pairing, and the codec is on 9.15 might fail to connect to the touch panel. In that case, we have to cross check if our touch pairing is network, because if that is the case, we might have to repair our device or allow your network to communicate over port 4061. If in case the restriction is there, usually it's not there, but because there might be a switch, just a switch involved in there. But if there is any firewall in place or there is any configuration which might be blocking these ports, we have to make sure 4061 is in place. Right. So let's go next. Okay, so one of the hot topics would be call disconnects, call drops. So you might have encountered a lot of issues wherein because user reports that the calls are getting disconnected. Uh, the more common issues which we see are some local disconnects, which we see in the event are logs also that we see codec showing local disconnect, maybe far end disconnect or remote disconnect, network disconnect, call dropping out after certain intervals like 15 minutes, 13 minutes. Uh, maybe there's a bandwidth problem with the device and codec is not able to set up the call. So these are the common error message you will see. Like if I check logs for a local disconnect error message, I probably see this kind of error message. It says call disconnect all from dot. It means there's an API which is being sent, that is X command call disconnect all. We are sending an API to disconnect all calls. So this says COIL. This COIL means it's a message generated by the user root. That means it's the touch panel or a remote which has sent a disconnect. When you see this, you can always inform user that this is the kind of error message we see. We can cross check with that again, but this is what we are seeing. When we see from dot, most likely it's the device itself that is a user account which is generating that event. It is the device itself which is disconnecting call, probably a user account, or something happened on the codec itself which has created that disconnect. So yeah, that's a thing we can check out. There could be other issues like I mentioned earlier, far end disconnect also. So when you check logs, it says far end disconnected. In such scenarios, we first have to see the call route. What's the call flow first? Your call is going to CUCM, then it goes to Expressway, then it goes out probably to WebEx. That is a call flow, and we see a remote disconnect coming in. We have to go hop by hop to understand where exactly the call is failing on. One hop would be CUCM, or if you want to skip that, we can just check Expressway logs to see if we are seeing a disconnect on Expressway from outside. If Expressway also shows a disconnect from outside, probably we have to take logs from WebEx or engage WebEx team to see why we are seeing a disconnect from their end. There could be a mismatch, a payload mismatch, it could be anything. So that's something might have to cross check. So the troubleshooting aspect differs when you see a different type of disconnect reason. This is something we would have to check from the log side to see what is different. Uh, Network disconnect. This will be a kind of error message you'll see when a call was not connected at all. Maybe we send us invite, we didn't receive anything back from CUCM, or maybe CUCM did not receive anything from the other side. This could be one of the error message you might see. So we have to check our endpoint log first to see what at what state we are on. We send a SIP invite. Are we waiting for a trying message? Was the signaling completed? Is that the RTP that was flowing and that stopped, or it stopped during the signaling phase itself? So based on what stage the call is on, this thing will differ. So we have to understand what stage we are on. Is that the signaling the call has connected yet or not, or it's trying to connect and disconnect? Then we have to take logs accordingly and capture the events. You will find certain events wherein call disconnect at certain intervals, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Uh, in these scenarios, the most common problem is the TCP timeout. Uh, the calls wherein firewalls are engaged, when it goes through some routers, there's a TCP connection timeout which is defined in there. Like after certain intervals, if you see any TCP connection, just disconnect it. So if the time period of the call disconnection is specific, we have to cross check what is the call flow and what all devices come into picture in that, and see at what stage we are seeing a disconnect and who is sending that by. If we are seeing a buy from outside, and check out at which node it's sending it from, and just check if the TCP connection timeout is defined in there. In insufficient bandwidth. So there are certain scenarios wherein we have not defined the region and location settings on CUCM. We try to make a call, there is no bandwidth defined, and your call might fail in that scenario also. So yeah, that's one of another reason why you will see when you check logs, this is what you will see. So insufficient bandwidth, reason code is 125. This will be a part of your all.log bundle, which I'll be discussing shortly. All right. So yeah, that's about the call disconnect. Most common issues that we see. The next thing is media quality. This will be again a hot topic for you guys. some media quality issues that you encounter. And the most problem cause is packet loss. There are some packet loss that has happened. There's packets that are being received on the unit a little late. It became so late that then required. Then there's jitter involved in it. So yeah, packet loss, basically you guys know. So packet loss is basically you have not received. So there's a sequence in which the packets will be received from one device to another. Your RTP streams I'm talking about, they'll have a sequence number. So you receive certain packets, they should come in order and in sequence. If you miss some of the packets, that will be considered as a packet loss. How you will see those things is, okay, some customer says I'm seeing some pixelation on the screen, and I'm not sure what's going wrong. Uh, one thing you can do is you go to call control. So we have our tools available. There are some backend tools that help to do this job. So you go to call. You will see that the call is already connected on this unit. Let me just connect one call here. So I just click on one of the test uh, number that I have. Unit should be starting it. It works a little slow, so let it just connect the call. So yeah, here it is trying. So these are, so see, there's one issue here. We are trying to process an event. It's taking time to load that event, and it probably fails. So web page is trying to process an event. It failed. Here, I would need to see if my network is slow, because that could be the reason why the page is not loading up and it encountered with this error message. Basically, on this call control, yeah, it's trying to connect also. Looks like it should be up now. It says in call in here. When I click on this option, I'll see how much packet loss I see in here. If if I see this being higher than 5% or probably 10%, there's a chance that codec might not be able to handle that much of packet loss, and it start showing some pixelation on the screen. Anything below, I would say 5% should be acceptable, because codec is configured to manage some RTP stream. It just replicates the same frame onto the new slide. Basically, a series of frames are received on the device in sequence. Codec is configured so that it can replicate similar frames and just keep showing that, so that you do not see a black screen. If there are a huge packet loss, that's when you might encounter some pixelation, some black screen. Here is the same call control which I showed you. When you check logs, you go to log bundle, search for packet loss for certain calls, check time frame if it matched the actual call which we had, and these are the kind of error message you will see. Now, when you see packet loss, the first thing you will need to understand would be what is the call flow. Are we seeing problems with all type of calls, or probably certain calls, maybe calling out to Zoom or maybe calling out to WebEx? So that is when you will be able to understand that it's the call route which is causing problems. Making call between one endpoint to another within the same office, maybe located in different rooms, and if there are no packet loss, you're sure that the device itself is working fine. So that's one way to isolate. Is that really a device which is uh, creating packet loss, or it's the call or the network path which is creating the packet loss? So another way to try this. Second thing is late package. This does happen. There is a slowness in receiving the packets. So as I said, we receive packets in sequence, and when the packets are coming slow and codec is already processing those packets and showing up on your screen, uh, there might be packets from 1 to 20. It received packets from 1 to 10, but 11 to 15 were very late. And we received 16 number packet already, 16, 17, and 18. Codec will wait for a certain period, and it will start showing packet 16 ahead, because it could not wait your audio has to match your video as well. Otherwise, there will be a lip sync issue. So in certain situations wherein the packets are reaching late on the unit, that might also show you some problems in the video. So for those scenarios, if you check logs, it will show you that the packet has been dropped. It would not be lost, but it will say there's a packet loss, sorry, packet drop because it was coming late. So there's nothing much it can do with that packet. It has to discard it. It's of no use because we have already moved on with the next packet. And yeah, that will be it. Jitter could also create some problems. Anything more than 10 millisecond, I would say, might start showing some problems to the video. A little bit of delay in presentation or something. When you check your call logs, these are the events you will see wherein it shows jitter value increasing or decreasing. This is again where you have to see your call flow, understand what is the call flow and under what situation we see a delay. You search for delays or packet loss or packet drop. Those will be the trigger points which can help you to check logs to see what is really causing problems in video or audio or whatever you are facing problems with. Your QS marking should be there, so make sure your bandwidth is there, whatever is required. End to end, you have the required bandwidth in place, so that codec should not be negotiating, or it should not be limitation for the codec to downscale just because of that packet. X status, as we discussed for camera and other things, we can do diagnostic also. Here you'll find loss and drops as well. How much loss and how much drop we see. Each this number will keep on changing. Right now it's 6. If you place another call after this call, that will be number 7. So that will be the next call it will come up with. So the current call which you are on may have a different number when you once you place a call next. This number will keep on changing. It's just a random number, but this will define what call we are on and what sort of what was the packet count, how much was the loss. All of that can be found here. In the log file, in the log bundle itself, there is call history.xml. Here also you'll find the same statistics. This is a real-time event wherein you do X status diagnostics. In the log file itself, it's all captured and saved. So after the call is completed, if you have to cross-check something, you can cross-check on this file called history.xml. You can also go to your codec webpage to see status for certain calls. So if I just disconnect this call, I go to issues and diagnostics, and then here I'll go to call logs. On call logs, I'll get a history of the last few calls that have been placed from this unit, along with the disconnect calls. So here I did disconnected from web page. It shows a local disconnect, how long it continued for. All of that can be found. Then there's some remote disconnect also. So for these, I have to check logs to understand why there's a remote disconnect. Did we send something wrong that the remote side disconnected, or maybe remote side did not like something? We have to get logs accordingly from the other end. Remote busy. So yeah, these are the type of error message network disconnected, which we discussed earlier. Uh, when you click on each of these events, you will find further information about the call ID you got, what number you dial, was it a SIP call, what was the call rate, and further statistics of those. What was the loss? How much was the uh, loss on received, and what is the jitter? Was it for audio? So what customer report or the user report saying I have issues with audio or video, we have to cross check. All.log will also show you all of these events, which you can cross check as well. So this is about media issues. Then the next part would be crash usage also, which I'm sure you might have encountered in past, maybe in the few days as well in past as well. Your unit crash because of many reasons. There could be certain reboots that happen because of some power fluctuation, because of the OS that had some memory issues, some memory leak has happened. Maybe some processes overutilize the DSPs. It has crashed certain DSPs. The codec is not able to clear cache on the device also. That could be a reason why it create problem. And it may reboot the device. It may shut it down. It may send the device into maintenance mode. Maybe the device is overheating as well. That could be one of the reason it may happen. Low power or power failures, maybe CPU utilization and other things which we already discussed. Uh, Now here, there's a catch here. So when these problems happen, there are chances that our device may or may not capture the log files. What happens is when you encounter any problems like a crash issue or something, our device tries to wrap up all the logs into a bundle and save it as a log bundle file into the history of it. If the crash is pretty severe that codec did not get time to wrap up the entire log bundle, it will just re-crash. I mean, it will crash and it will just reboot the device, come back on, and it will override the existing log files. So you might see a unit which was up and running since January this year. It rebooted today, or maybe it crashed today. It didn't get time to wrap up the logs. So you'll see some logs starting from 1st January, and all of a sudden you will see some logs from 1st or 2nd September. Then that will look weird, but based on that events, it will give you an indication that the logs between 1st Jan and 2nd September are gone, and there might be a possible crash in this. In normal scenarios, in most crashes, usually device would be able to capture logs, so would not be a thing to worry. But there are certain scenarios wherein it would not be able to do it. I'll tell you some other options wherein you can do that. I mean, you can capture logs in certain scenarios. If your crash is so severe that you are not able to capture those logs, one option is you connect a serial console or serial cable to your device. Connect the serial cable and try to find out if the and just SSH to the unit. So connect the serial cable, SSH, or I would say SSH, sorry. Connect the serial cable and connect console to it using PuTTY, use serial option and serial into the codec. And there's a command called log output on. If you have option to reproduce the problem, run this command and try to reproduce the issue. This command, what it does is it creates or it just output all the events which are getting captured on the codec side onto this PuTTY window. It will start capturing all of those events. So if you have an option like make calls to certain devices and you have option to recreate the problem, do that, and those events will be captured in here. And that will be one best way to do it. There are other options wherein we can upload or we can sync our current log files onto a third-party server, which will capture all of those events. So there are certain commands, like there are certain feedback commands which we can generate from our device, from this unit, and we can start capturing those logs onto the unit, onto a different server. That server will be able to capture logs. Yeah, that will be a draft, I would say, a problem wherein you're not able to capture logs. In normal scenarios wherein you are able to capture logs and you can see some events which are related to crash, this is what you will see. This is one of the things that you will see in the log files. So these are codes for different crash that will happen, and there will be a reason why the crash is happening. Most common is signal abort, wherein a device stop the entire codec process because of certain illegal memory usage, or codec has used the entire memory of the device. Codec could not clear the cache of the device. Could be any reason. So all of these reasons, all of these keywords might help you to find out the reason for the crash. And there will be an exit code next to it. Okay, it says I'm aborting the signal, and why I'm aborting it is based on this code. So it'll be a combination of this and a combination of this showing you that, okay, I'm running out of CPU. Okay, I'm running out of CPU here also. Both code are same. Exceeding the time limit. So it's trying to process some job and it's not able to do it. It creates this error code. Then illegal memory usage, 139, segmentation violation. So these are the events that you will see in your log files. When you generate log files, uh, all the events will be captured into log.start.gc. So let me show you that at the very end of this session, that how and what you see and where you exactly you see in the log file. But these will be the trigger points, or these will be the things that you can search for. Here is an example. I created an event file in here wherein I see a signal abort message in here. Okay, so from this I can see that signal abort, which we see here, right? So next we have to check out what exactly happened. The next is there will be some further lines next to it wherein it says backtrace or stack trace. This shows what is the reason behind the crash. So here in the fourth line it says video controller. So looks like, or this is the reason that your device has crashed. There is some problem with the video DSP. It could be a one-time event also. It's not that it will happen always. Sometimes codec is trying to process too many things. Maybe there's a high packet loss. There's a little bit of uh, packet delay also. It's trying to drop those packets as well. It's running a call as well. So all of these things happening, and it might not be able to clear up some cache from the DSP. DSP is filled completely, and it may crash. It could be a one-time event. It may not be recreatable. In that case, just download the file, share it with us. We will see if there is a common problem, but at least we will be able to find out what is the reason for the current crash. Yeah, this is one of the examples. Uh, let's take another example. So some more keywords are there, like these ones: system, invoke, abort, heartbeat. So heartbeat is, this is an event. It's a background event in the code. Heartbeat is nothing but just the way heartbeat works. Codec sends a heartbeat request. It's just a keep alive request for all the DSPs. It makes sure all the DSPs are working, they are happy. If they are not, they won't respond. And codec will think, okay, I'm not seeing a heartbeat from certain DSP. DSP is not responding. It might be crash or something. Then it will check if the DSP is really functional. If there is any errors with the DSP, it may end with a restart. Okay, so these are the keywords. So when I'll be sharing these PPTs with you, probably these will help you to check out some basic things, some reasons for the crash based on these trigger points itself. Main has stopped with error code 139. I showed you.
Just time check.
Yeah.
I think we are just overpassed the scheduled time. So in the interest of time, can you move on with the log bundle? I think that's probably the interest.
Sure. Yeah. I think yeah, just a couple of slides more left. So yeah, let me just wrap it up. Heartbeat message. This is your DSP failure, wherein codec could not talk to the DSP. That again fails. Sometimes you might see this kind of screen wherein it says maintenance mode. Your screen come up with this page when a crash happens. That means your OS have some problems and codec could not be loaded up. In this case, this screen will come up. It will just give you this IP address, which is the actual IP address of the unit. You try to access it, and there are different options available to recover the unit from. You can swap software. If there are two softwares available on the unit, you can switch it, and that might resolve problem. Probably try to restart the unit also. That might fix it out. So yeah, you can do that from command line, or you can do that from GUI itself as well. So GUI also brings up some information. It would not show you all the options, but yeah, some information will be there. And the same options that you have on SSH, like backup of the log file, recovery, factory reset, all of those options are still there that will help you to recover the device. Okay, the most important topic for this session are the log structure. You will need to understand how we capture logs, what are there in the log files when you capture and review it, what things would be helpful or useful for you guys. Uh, for log capture, you will go log into the codec. You go to this diagnostic section, and on top there will be something called system logs. Left hand side is where you download the log bundle from, and the right side is where you start the packet capture from. So this will be just the packet capture. If you go further down, you'll find two sections. One is the current log section, and the second section is historical log files. The day or whenever your unit is turned on, all the logs are captured in current log files. Upon every reboot, whenever you reboot the device maybe 10 times today, you'll you'll have all those 10 time logs uploaded in here. The last log file would be a part of this log event. So you bought a device on 1st of Jan, and on 2nd of Jan you reboot the device. All the logs which will be captured from 1st to 2nd would be a part of this log bundle. When you open this up, whatever you have in here, all these files would be a part of this log bundle. The same is what we have in crash also. So when a crash happens, we are doing nothing, but we are rebooting a device. So all of those events would be a part of log.tar.gc file. You open this file, you'll get all the events that were there before the reboot. Okay, so if someone says a crash has happened on the device, you would not find those events on all.log or the current logs. You have to check the historical logs, check out the time, sort it with the date, and see which is the correct file. It should be log.tar.gc. Open this file up. You'll find similar log files the way we have in here. Okay. One way is you check console file. Console file has events of all the services that are coming up. Okay, so it shows I'm mounting all the config images. I'm checking RAM. I'm checking this and that. There will be a stage where this codec is going to stop, or it will hold on with all the services it has. Okay, there'll be a point wherein it finds that all the services are up. I have to stop my logging right here, or I'll pause, or I'll stand by my logging here, and it will wait for system to reboot again. Once you reboot, that will be time when it starts stopping all the services. So similar to Windows or anything, if you start a device and when you start to reboot it's going to stop certain programs, certain settings. All those events would come right below this section. Right after running and everything is ready, main is ready. So this means your application is ready. And after this, if you start seeing some error message followed by uh, that main crash has happened, error message or signal abort, that will be your point to check out what that error message is. Probably search for that error message in all.log file. So this is the console file, which is dedicated only for start and stop of services. There is a file called all.log. You can go to this, wherein all the logs are captured. This file contains all the events. You make calls, your SIP signaling, your RTP flow, packet loss, disconnect, all of it would be part of it. These TMS connection issues, anything or everything you have on the endpoint will be captured here. Then you can search for that event here. You'll be able to find out what is the cause for the error message. So yeah, something important when you don't know which file to check out, easy way would be check all.log file, compare the timestamp, and you can check out uh, what is the reason for it. If you know the other file data also, you can cross check, like for audio issues, you can check audio.log file. Some protocol log events can be captured here. Diagnostic error message can be found here. So yeah, this is all I have. So whenever I download the files, I'll just click on first option or second option, analyze logs. It will download all the log files, including the current file and the historical log files. So if you have to share these logs with TAC or you are working yourself, always just download all log file with the call history. The difference in these two sections is in the old file, we used to have everything captured in the log file. That includes your dial-in numbers and all. Some customer or some user do not like to share his uh, contact details or the VD address that they dial. In that case, you have to go with this option. This will download current plus historical. On the right hand side, we have option to start packet capture. You start it. Your packet capture will be started. It will be active for 10 minutes, but would not capture RTP. So if you have issues with packet loss or something, you have to go with a full packet capture wherein it captures the RTP as well. But this will be active for 3 minutes. So when you recreate problems, any restart or anything happens, you have to make sure it happens within 3 minutes. Else, wait for that period of time so that you start the log and then capture logs when the issue is going to happen.